Hey guys, I have the most incredible version of a Mumbai sandwich to share with you today. Not only is it an absolute street style version of the dish, it also has a little bit of a secret inside because you know that I cannot resist adding a little bit of a spin on those traditional recipes. So if you've ever had a Mumbai sandwich, you will know that the most delicious thing about it is the green chutney. So what I've decided to do is capitalize on that by soaking an extra layer of toast in that green chutney and putting it inside my sandwich. So it's kind of like if you've ever seen that episode of Friends where Ross has the moist maker in his sandwich and he soaks that extra layer of bread in his leftover Thanksgiving gravy. That's the kind of route we're going down here. So what I'm gonna do is take my slice of toast and soak it in that delicious green chutney and then put that inside my sandwich, and that is gonna take this Mumbai sandwich to a whole new level. Okay, so anyone who has ever had a Mumbai sandwich will be able to tell you that the most important thing is the chutney. So that's where we're gonna start today. So I have some coriander here, fresh coriander, which we're gonna use to make our delicious green chutney. And I have some garlic, some chili, some fresh green chili, some lemon juice, and some cashew nuts. And these cashew nuts have just been soaked in hot water for about half an hour, just so that they're nice and soft, and that's going to blend up really well into our chutney and give it an amazing smooth creamy texture. You'll also need a few fresh mint leaves if you have them. If you don't, then simply leave them out. We'll also need a little bit of salt and sugar for our chutney. And then in addition to that, we're going to need some ingredients for our potato filling, because the potato filling is also the main bulk of this sandwich. So we'll start off with some oil, and in the oil we will heat it up and crackle in some mustard seeds and some fresh coriander, and then I'll add in some mashed potatoes. So now these are just potatoes that I have steamed and then peeled. And then I've mashed them kind of coarsely, like they're not really smooth or anything. I still want them to have a bit of texture, but they are quite soft. And then we'll just season that up with a little bit of salt. And then of course we have the bread, and here is some bog standard plain white bread. This is the kind of bread you want to use for this. Of course you can use brown or seeded or granary or sourdough, whatever you want to use. And for our filling, we're going to need some butter that is softened, some onions, some tomatoes, and some beetroot. You can add some cucumber to this. That's quite traditional, but I can't stand warm cucumbers, so I'm not going to add them in. And then in my little bowl here, I have some grated cheese. I've got some mozzarella and some strong cheddar, and I'm just going to mix them because that's what's going to give us like incredible flavor here. And we're also going to get that nice kind of stringiness from the mozzarella. So blending your cheeses is really key. And this is what's going to take our Mumbai sandwich to the next level. And let me tell you, this is a revelation. If any of you have ever seen that episode of Friends where Ross has a moist maker sandwich, which uses up his leftover Thanksgiving dinner, then you're gonna know this kind of sitcom reference. And this is literally just toast from bread that it's been sitting out for a little while. It's kind of stale. I've cut the crusts off, and what we're gonna do is soak this bread in our green chutney. And you'll remember I said that the green chutney is the most special thing about this sandwich. And then to finish our sandwich, I just have some sev here. This is just nylon sev or ginny sev. You can buy this pre-packaged, which is what I do, or if you're fancy and you make your own homemade one, then use that. So let's begin by making our chutney. And in order to do that, we're going to need some fresh coriander. And I'm gonna put all my fresh coriander in this little blender jar. I'm just using a NutriBullet here, but you can use any kind of high-speed blender that you have. And into that I'm going to use 2 chilies. You can reduce that to 1 chili if you prefer, some garlic, and some soaked cashew nuts. And these soaked cashew nuts are going to provide the creaminess that we want for our chutney. And then some fresh mint leaves and a little squeeze of fresh lemon juice. And then to this, I'm going to add a little bit of sugar and a little bit of salt. I've got a pan heating up here. This is just a non-stick frying pan, and once it is hot, I can add in some oil. I'm just using regular rapeseed oil today. And then we want to let that kind of heat up for a couple of seconds, and then we will add in our mustard seeds. And mustard seeds really need to pop and crackle before we do anything else, okay? This is the rule for any kind of Indian cooking that you're doing. The mustard seeds always have to be really lovely and well popped. So wait for that to happen. This is popping and crackling really nicely now, so we are going to go ahead and add in our coriander leaves. And if you cook them in the oil like this, it's going to give your potatoes a really lovely kind of flavour. Once those are in, we'll add a little bit of turmeric powder. And then go in with our potatoes and just get them all in there, and then mix all of this up really nicely. Season this up with some salt and give it all a really good mix, and that is our filling done. How easy was that? And all I'm going to do is just spread this, and you want to make sure that this butter is really nice and soft, because otherwise it's going to make holes in your bread, and that's not a good thing. So next we need to take a little bit of our green chutney and kind of smear it all over the inside of this bread. And that is going to be our first layer of lovely chutney in there. Make sure you get it right up until the edges, because we don't want any kind of dry bits in there. I'm just going to take a little bit of that. This is called a little bit. It doesn't have to be like really hot or really cold when you put it in. Just kind of add it all in to that lovely center and just kind of flatten it out as much as you can. So now I'm going to go ahead with a couple of slices of tomato, and then I've got a few little rings of onion. Now I want everything in this sandwich to kind of have like really good adhesion, so I'm going to add a little sprinkle of cheese, and that's going to help our layers stick together, because remember, this is going to be like quite a tall sandwich, not like super duper tall where it's ridiculous and you can't even fit it in your mouth, but it is fairly sizable and you'll need to take a big bite to eat it. So what I want to do is make sure that I am adding enough cheese so that all of my little layers stick together. So now for the most special part of this sandwich. So I've got my little chutney in this tray, and I'm going to bring in my slice of toast that's kind of stale-ish now, and I'm going to dip it in this chutney, and it's going to soak it up like a little sponge. And we all know that the chutney is the best thing about a Mumbai sandwich, and look at that, like it's like actually soaked, and this is what's going to make our sandwich so good. My little moist maker is ready, and it is soaked with green chutney, and this is going to make our sandwich so flavoursome. So for my next trick, I'm going to add in a bit more cheese, and that is going to create a nice little barrier for our beetroots so that they don't completely like soak into that chutney, because we don't want it to be like barricaded. So now is the time we are quite liberal with our cheese. And then on top of our cheese, I'm gonna add in some little slices of beetroot, and these are just gonna give this sandwich some awesome, awesome color. Okay, now the final thing I'm gonna do is just sprinkle the last bit of cheese on here, and that is gonna make sure that our top slice of bread sticks to this filling really nicely, and our whole sandwich has like good adhesion. Right, I've got my last slice of bread here and I just need to add in my final bit of chutney. And now my final step is to just butter the outside. My pan has been preheating just for a couple of minutes now. It doesn't need to be like smoking hot. We want to cook this over a relatively low heat, and very carefully with the light fingers you want to place this right in the center there and just leave it for a couple of minutes to do its thing. So now I have two little doodahs here that I want to show you, this being the first, and this is a tool normally used for plastering walls. So if there's any builders in the audience, you guys are gonna know what this is. I use it for sandwiches because I'm a bit strange like that, and I like to go to the DIY store and buy tools and use them for my food when they're not designed for that. So this is really handy. If you don't have this, then you can use two of these little things here, spatulas, and you will be fine. This is gonna help us flip this now, so let me see if I can do that without making a complete mess of things. We're just gonna be brave here and kind of press this down on here, and this is what's gonna help me kind of wangle my sandwich off of here, and very, very carefully kind of flip it as well as I can, and then again just pop it onto here and slide it in. And that, my friends, is how it's done. So let's just give it a nice little press with our old plastering tool here. And let me just clarify that I've never actually used this for plastering, so don't worry, it's safe and it's clean. But if you don't have one of these, if you're not a weirdo like me, then you can just use a regular spatula and that is fine. And as you can see, this is kind of starting to shrink a little bit with the little bit of pressing that I've been doing, so just keep at it, and you don't want to like squish the living daylights out of it. You want to kind of just be gentle, just give it gentle presses here and there. Switch to a little spatula if you feel a bit more comfortable doing that, and just let it cook really low and slow. Like, make sure that you're not leaving this on a really high heat, because then it's not going to cook all the way through and you're not going to be happy and I'm not going to be happy, and we can't be having that, can we? And you can hear it, you can like hear how crispy it is. Pop it on a little plate. So my toastie is now ready to serve. You can cut this however you like, but I think the traditional way is to do it in triangles, so let's just give this a nice cut all the way through the middle. Oh, there we go. Let's see if I can get through all of those super crunchy layers. And now for the moment of truth. Let's see the inside of this epic Mumbai toastie, and look at those amazing layers and all of that cheese. And we've got our chutney in there, and that is just so, so beautiful, guys. I really want you to make this because it might be a bit more effort than your usual sandwich, but trust me when I tell you that this is just so worth it for a really special street style meal. I have a completely optional step for you, but if you want to take this sandwich to the next level, take a little bit more of that green chutney, give it a little spread on top of your sandwich, like so. Remember to take it all the way to the edge, and then on top of that, we are gonna sprinkle a little bit of this lovely sieve. And that has just taken your sandwich from a 10 to a 12. Beautiful. Come on, guys, I mean, if that's not a sandwich, I don't know what is. Look at all of those beautiful layers. We are ready to serve. And that, my friends, is how easy it is to make your own amazing stacked Mumbai sandwich at home. And I hope you make it. Let me know how it goes if you do, and tag me in your photos, send me your DMs, and I would love to see how you get on with this recipe. It's a special one. It's no ordinary sandwich. So if you've got all the stuff at home, make sure you make it.